Annyeonghaseyo and welcome to the Inje Podium in Gangwon, South Korea for round 7 of the 2025 TCR Asia Series. My name is Ame Hazik and we are going to bring you live coverage here for what promises to be an exciting end to the season for the TCR Asia Series. We got plenty on offer, especially given the fact that this round also serves as a sort of prequel to the next race that we're going to do after this, which is also going to be in Inje. And it's not just the cars racing here today that are going to matter for the championship in Asia. It's also going to matter for the championship when we actually go to Inje next time round, because it will be part of the TCR World Tour. So by this point, in a few weeks time, we'll be doing it with some of the best touring car drivers in the world alongside Asia's finest. As we can see then, the drivers are out for their reconnaissance, waiting to get onto the grid to start the first of 2 races for this weekend. This is round 7. Tomorrow will be round 8. And from the qualify sessions we had just now, it was a pretty close affair. But out in front, it was Solid Indigo Racing's Park Jun-Ui who leads the way. And he'll be the one to watch out for here. As we see now car number 087. That is the pole sitter for race number 1. So then, the Inje Podium, the first time we've actually been here in the TCR Asia Series. Previously we were at Yongnam a couple years back at the old Grand Prix venue. Now we're here at arguably a very exciting circuit because of the twists and turns and the undulations that this circuit provides. So a couple of drivers are actually coming through to do the reconnaissance lap to finish around here. We're looking at the Filipino driver, Red Diwa. That's another one of those drivers that we are looking out for, especially how the Philippines have been giving him quite a lot of support online and also in real life, driving for the famed Eurasian Motorsport team as he comes across here. As now the cars are making their way onto the grid, quite a few of them have actually made it now to line up here on the start line, getting the final preps out of the way before we go for a sightseeing lap, and then we start round 7 of the season. So looking through the grid, and that is the Solid Indigo Racing car of Junyi Park. Alongside him will be another Park, Jun Sung Park, his teammate. Looking very comfortable right now, especially that this is also his home track. So really out to please the Koreans here today. There's the 2 Solid Indigo cars right in front. Behind them on the second row is Diego Moran for DM23 Ecuador Racing. The Ecuadorian also racing on his own colors, and the one of few cars on the grid this weekend not running Hyundais. He is in a Honda. There is a Moran right now on our screens. Privately run car, but looking very happy here today to be on near the front too. As you can see, his qualifying time there, just a whisker above 2/10 behind Junyi Park, but no doubt that he'll be one of the competitive drivers to watch out for here today. As you can see from above, there's the Ecuadorian flag flying in the wind in his Honda Civic, and beside him is a Hello Kitty inspired car with Snoopy colors as well. Is Zhendong Zhang driving for Z Speed N, and in also one of the Hyundais as well. A Hyundai Elantra N TCR. There's a couple of variants of the Hyundais racing here. One you're looking at right now is the Elantra N, and the other one is the venerable i30N, but is also on its way out of homologation now because the fact that Elantras are becoming the order of the entire TCR grid. P5, we are looking at Chang Chen Shang in the RevX racing car. That's also another one of the different cars that are running this weekend. He's running the Audi RS3 LMS. Two cars that are different from the rest of a sea of Hyundais here. On no doubt what we can say is the home turf for the flagship brand of South Korea. Right beside him in P6 is Benny Santoso, the Indonesian, driving for Z Speed Malaysia. A bit ways behind, but I think he will be trying to focus on the race pace given the fact that Santoso right now is also in the hunt for the Cup Championship, which he leads by about 9 points ahead of Andy Liang in that particular standings. 4 drivers who are part of the Cup class are taking part here today. There's Red Diwa that we mentioned earlier, the Filipino driver in the Hyundai as well, driving for Eurasia, a very well-known team in this region. Looking very relaxed as well, and he will no doubt be trying to score some valuable points, especially in the Cup class when he goes into round 7 and round 8. And of course, by the next round, when we are going to come back here in Inje, it's going to be with the World Tour drivers as well. 5 minutes to start now. As we can see, the rest of the field that we have here today, that is Liu Qiren lining up right beside Red Diwa in the Z Speed N car, teammate to Zhang. And we have a grade here ready to go after they've been given the 5-minute signal now. Couple of words of encouragement from no doubt a member of the Solid Indigo Racing team, giving words of encouragement to the two parks up in front. And that's when they signal to clear the grid, only just for the spectators who have come. Any crew left are now waiting for their signal to go off the grid after this, as they are checking last minute preparations with their respective drivers going through. Now then, this is the starting grid that we have. We already ran through just now the entire grid, but we're looking to again the two parks up in front for Solid Indigo Racing. Behind them is Diego Moran and Zhang in P4. Behind them is Chang and Santoso in row 3, and then right at the back it's Diwa and Liu to kick us off here for round 7 and the final half of the entire season, where we're going to try to get points calculated towards not only the Asian Championship but also the World Tour standings and a chance to take part in the World Tour race in Zhuzhou when we go right up into the month of November, where we also combine with the TCR China Challenge and the CTCC China Cup cars. That will be quite exciting, where China's best will go up against the rest of Asia as well. So then there's the signal to start the race then. Couple of minutes left to go here before the crews are gonna get underway. Air horn sounding. That's a really nice touch. Gets everybody's attention both on the grid and in the stands. So then, just only the remaining crews left with their drivers to give them last words of encouragement and some feedback just in case that the cars need to be reset. Wouldn't want anyone to stall on the grid now, otherwise for those drivers they're going to have to get the work cut out, especially starting from the pit lane. As you can see there, that's a big undulations right behind, as I mentioned earlier, of how much this circuit really just twists and turns around the hills here. It really gives it a lot of character as a big juxtaposition to the Yongnam Korea International Circuit that used to host Formula 1. That was more of a plateau, but it did have a lot of great corners to combine it with. But compared to Inje, we're going to see a lot more spectacular action, as we can see some last minute checks on Zhang's car. Looks as though I think the Z Speed N crew are just giving a once over, just in case if there's anything to go wrong. But I think he should be alright to go then, from 4th place on the grid here today. And a very colorful car with imagery of Hello Kitty and Snoopy by the looks of it on the side there. That's a real looker, especially when you are on the track. Those who are in Inje Podium, they might just get a good glimpse of these cars passing by every single lap here. And the air horns blare once again. That's the sign for the last of the crew members who are working on the cars to exit the track and leave the drivers to their own devices. And in this case, the devices being a really advanced TCR touring car. Use the same spec as the rest of the world will be, especially those who are competing in the World Tour, and of course a chance to qualify for the big race in Macau later in the year. Formation lap is about to get underway very soon now. Marshals are hanging the boards, and we will go for a sighting lap around the exciting circuit Inje Podium just outside of Gangwon-do in South Korea, approximately 100 kilometers from the capital city of Seoul. So really, it's a circuit that's easily accessible for everyone who wants to get a glimpse of these really fast touring cars. We'll be using the main circuit, the 3.908 kilometers, the entire thing, where it's going to be really fun to watch how they tackle the undulations here. Now we're off for the formation lap. The green flag flies. The marshals have given the start orders to go, and the drivers are now going on their formation lap to get the tires, heat into the tires, and doing last minute preparation to make sure that their cars are underway. Now immediately you can see the first bit that changes is the start finish line drops, and you can see some tire marks there from cars in some of the earlier support races that have gone off. Really tells you what kind of circuit this is, because look at that. We thought that it was going to be a bit of a slight straight ahead point from the start finish line. It's just going to go ahead, but no, it drops immediately to a bottom of a valley and then goes all the way around with a hairpin up to turn number 3, and then it goes back up here to off the top of the hill, drops back in, and then it's just it's as though it's a roller coaster. It goes back up once again. So then, formation lap is underway. You can see the confirmation on our screens then. This is the TCR Asia Series for 2025. Round 7 and 8. This is race 1. Of course, that correlates to round number 7 because each round is a race. So, this is the first of 2 races for this weekend for the TCR Asia boys. And they will be getting their points in order to get up into the world rankings, the Kumo TCR World Tour. And will probably stand a chance in qualifying for the final race of the season, the final 2 races of the season in Macau that's coming out soon. And another feature that we have here that I also saw from the earlier broadcast from the Hyundai Festival is the drone camera that really circles around the track. Gives you a different vantage point of how these cars tackle a technical circuit just like Inje. Through the last 2 corners then. And into a flick that goes right up to the final sector. This one is around turn 19. And then finally onto turn 20, where it's just a blast all the way to the start-finish straight. Full circuits can be used here. As you can see, red Diwa is right at the back. Now then, this is where the tension will rise for the drivers. Where all the prep work they've done through the 2 qualifying sessions, practice prior to that, will be put to good use here for the first of 2 races. So then, up in front, Park Jun-Yui, and beside him is Park Jun-Sung in the 2 solid Inigo racing cars right up in front. Behind them is Diego Moran and Zhang Zhendong. We wait for the lights to come on. There's a drone camera there to catch the start. Marshals are ready to go with the 5-second board to signal the start of this race. Awaiting the signal from the clerk of the course to make sure it's clear. There we go, green flag at the back. Lights come on the gantry, and when they go out, round 7 of the TCR Asia Series for 2025 is underway, and it's a poor start. It looks like Moran actually has gotten off the line very poorly from 3rd on the grid. He has put it all to bed. Therefore now, as the 2 parks go underway, with 3rd place Zhang coming through in P3. Big slide then from Shang at behind with a big slide in the Audi RS3, but I think the race might have actually been underway for now, but you never know what the stewards have called because the yellow flags were waving at the start. But what if it is? Diego Moran is the biggest loser of that. He has lost plenty of positions. The Ecuadorian has it all to do here for round 7, and now he has to pass a few other cars right in front of him here. There he is, Moran behind, trying to overtake Rangbird G Diwa, aka Red Diwa here. We're looking for the behind. There's Moran, who actually had the poor start of the line. He actually bogged it. We're not sure what happened. Maybe he tried to launch it off the line. The launch control failed. But whatever it is, he has to do it all now in the 14 laps that we have here. But up in the front, it looks as though, I think, Juni Park didn't lose the lead of the race. He still manages to hang on to it. Behind him is Jun Sung Park, who has kept it as well in 2nd place to keep it a solid Inigo Racing 1-2. So then, coming up now to the penultimate final 2 corners here. We're looking at Zhang with the drone camera, and across the start finish line. That's the first of 14 laps done. As we can see then, Juni Park goes into the front of the stays at the front of the pack, flashes his lights into the camera. I think that's just a bit of a gesture then to know that he's leading the way. Behind him is Jun Sung Park, as he is now going to come through as a bit of a lockup then from Juni Park, or it might have been a splash of water because we had a bit of rain there, rain here overnight last night, and it cleared up this morning. In fact, yesterday's Hyundai Festival races, we had a bit of drizzle, but for the most part, it looks as though it's clear for the drivers to go through as our drone camera captures the 2 race leaders come by here to end up come through to the end of the first sector. Hopping through the curve, there goes Juni Park. He really is muscling that Hyundai Elantra through that corner. As behind him, Jun Sung Park as well likewise locks up, coming through to this tight chicane section that leads into a hairpin, and a couple of more flicks through the left and right. He's really pushing it, but the gap right now is at least about half a second between the 2 race leaders here. Now, of course, team orders may not be the order of the day in a series like TCR, especially in TCR Asia as well, because the drivers are allowed to go full pelt. But if it comes to the punch, maybe the team would like to tell the drivers not to battle too hard, otherwise it will squander what will be a picture book result for the solid Inigo Racing team, especially that this is a home race, not just for them, but for also their manufacturer Hyundai, who are riding these superb Elantra and TCRs. Coming through the final 2 corners now, on to the start-finish straight. And it will be Juni Park who sets the fastest lap of the race so far with a 157.5 here, with Jun Sung Park right behind him, still relatively a couple of tenths behind, so he's keeping up the pace, even he's losing a bit of the gap. Shang in 3rd, and then we have Chang in 4th place in the Audi, where he is being chased after then by it looks as though one of the other Hyundais. It looks like Woojin Shin behind in the ZIC car. Now then, still no update on the graphics package on the left. We got to apologize for that. Trying to work through the technical problems there, but I think it might just come on anytime soon. The team are working wonders behind the scenes, especially that there's plenty of racing going on this weekend, not just with the TCR Asia guys, but also the Hyundai N Festival that features Korea's best drivers going at it. As again, Jun Sung-park locks it up big time, coming through that chicane at turn number 10, really pushing it. But it's not going to do those tires any good, because remember, these are all front-wheel drive cars, and you might want to have those front tires be alive at least for the majority of the race, so that you can actually plan an attack towards the end. As you can, we're focusing out the two solid cars. Again, he locks up on the front left tire, really pushing it. He is making some inroads on this lap, but I think a couple of those lockouts may have hurt his tires a bit, especially with the flat spots that he's going to get. Moving the car left and right a bit, I think it's just only to check whether or not the balance is still right, and I think it's looking good right now, because previously it was Juni Park who actually set the fast lap of the race. Now it's Jun Sung-park by just only a couple hundredths. So even Stevens between the two, but Juni Park up in front is the one that we're looking out for right now as being the driver who's cementing his position at the front as they go through a puddle. So that's where the splash came from. It looked like a lockout for a second, but it's just a bit of water coming through on the side of the hill, going through some of the irrigation channels here at Inje Podium. There's our drone camera once again, providing some of the dynamic shots coming through. Snaking their way through this first sector. Really tight corners. You might think that some touring cars may not be able to come through to just accelerate their way out of there, but you'd be proven wrong, because that's how good these TCR cars are. And look at the amount of curb that Juni Park and Jun Sung-park have taken. The cars are literally going on two wheels. And once again, just a slight two-wheel moment there from Juni Park, but it looks as though that one is still pretty much clear for them up in front. There's no problems whatsoever. So far, looking good here for the Solid Indigo Racing team. In the championship stakes, they are one of the newcomers of this championship, because they are not part of the team's ranking as of the last round in Sepang back in July. But this will be some good hollow points for them, especially for the drivers respectively, because they will be going to take some points here to just give them a bit of a buffer, especially given the fact that the next round will also be at Inje, and no doubt with this one too, and if they could get a second round round 8 result similarly to this, they will be going up to the final round of the championship in Juju, probably as part of the World Tour drivers. As you can see then, that is in fact the fastest lap, the personal best laps for each driver right now. As you can see, also the markers for each driver, Juni Park and Jun Sung-park are in blue. That's the main overall drivers who are actually overall the drivers in this race, while the red markers are the cup drivers. So right now Benny Santoso is leading that one, Red Dewa second, and Liu in third place, but it's just a bit further behind here from Red Dewa. So that's a battle amongst themselves for 6 seconds, as Juni Park again once again just leaps over the curb, goes full two wheels, nearly off there for a second, but luckily gets it back together again. Through the hairpin at turn 11, and then just a couple of more kinks, slight deviations through the left and right, and then another couple of rights that heads back onto the final sector. Really is a tough old circuit, this one. It's really highly technical, but it's just got the right amount of flow that it doesn't become a stop-start type of circuit, as the drivers are attested to here. As we can see then, Juni Park and Jun Sung-park separated by 1.5 seconds. It looked as though that the gap was just closing in for Jun Sung-park, but unfortunately for him, it has increased up to now over 1.5 seconds here. So then, across the start-finish line then for the two leaders, they're still well ahead of the pack. As we can see, the battle between, it looks as though Santoso has actually got it in front of Chang here. We're waiting for the... Yep, Santoso has actually overtaken Chang on the track. So Chang was running in 4th place at one point, has dropped now to 5th, but he'll be 4th in his class, so that will not be too much tears for him to cry on that one. At least for now, he can try to fight back for the overall positions, as Benny Santoso is doing a real good job here in the Hyundai in front of the RS3 Audi of Chang. That's a battle for 4th, half a second separated between the both of them. The drivers are really fighting their way through the corners here, because the front wheel drive cars really are finding it quite a unique challenge, because consecutive corners after another really just gives the drivers really they're getting their money's worth here today, racing as hard as they could, pushing it through the corners, and again through the curves they're leaping over it, going full 2 wheels there, as Santoso now has managed to eke out just a slight gap in front of Chang. But behind them, we saw just now the camera focusing for a second on Diego Moran, who has actually managed to gain 2 positions back after bogging the start earlier to get back up to the back of Chang and Santoso. He will try to get at least something out of this, because what could have been a potential 3rd place in class and overall has not been coming for naught, but it did make it work a bit hard. As you can see, more of a lock up there. That was Santoso that time around. Santoso full lock coming into the corner as he chases after Zhang in 3rd place, and now Zhang will be under pressure because Santoso is putting a very good drive to put the Cup driver within reach of an overall podium. Out of final corner they come. The gap between the 2 leaders right now is about 1.2 seconds between Junyu Park and Jun Sun Park. Meanwhile, behind Zhang is 17 seconds. This is an interval, of course. We're not counting the overall gaps here. As now you can see then onto the inside coming through turn 1 and 2. This might just be a carbon copy move that Santoso will try to do, as what a driver did all the way back in 2014 during the Korea Speed Festival, where a Kia car went completely sideways to overtake, but he didn't go full sideways that time around. It looks as though Zhang's having problems with his car. He is being overtaken by 2 cars in a row. So Santoso goes through, Chang goes through, and no doubt Moran will also go through here. So what looked like a bleak situation for Moran may turn into a really rosy situation for him. He can still get a podium in class here, but he has to contend with the fact that Chang in front of him, as well as Bobby Santoso, putting up a real good fight for P3 right now. Halfway through, Santoso locks the rears. Well, it actually locks the fronts, but the rear's cocked up for a second, just coming through that tricky turn 10. And this might be a chance for Chang to come back after being overtaken earlier. Through the chicane. And a long right-hander that leads them back around to the final sector. This is the one we're looking out for right now, as the 2 leaders are scampering away, coming up to the hairpin. All to play for as Santoso once again locks his left-hand side tires. He might go a bit wide here, and this might allow Chang to come through on the inside, but no, Chang can get the drive out of there, and that leaves Santoso back up to P4, P3 only for the time being, because again, our timing screens update as the cars go through per lap. But this is, make no mistake, the battle for P3 right now, with Santoso holding on here for dear life right now. He looked strong for a second after overtaking Chang, but Chang looks as though he has recovered back here, and he's ready to re-overtake what is a potential 3rd place. There we go. That's the overall tables. In fact, Chang right now still half a second behind Santoso, with Santoso holding on here in front, but still 19 seconds behind the 2 parks. Up to the hairpin as now Zhang comes into the pits. So Zhang probably has a problem with the car, potentially might be a puncture or something else mechanical in the car, but whatever it is, the driver running in car number 18 here is coming into the pits. Zhang Zhendong for Z Speed N, who was on 4th position on the grid, running in 3rd at one point, has now pulled into the pits here, so no doubt he will be tumbling away further from the leaders of this race, out of the... Well, he's not going to be out of the top 5. He will still finish in 5th place, but he has to get that car back on track to score any significant points. Lap 8 out of 14 right now. Just 7 laps to go after this. As now, we go back between the 2 parks. This is going to be a battle for the race win, overall and in their class. 7/10 of a second between Junyu Park and Jin Sun Park. Here, between the 2 solid Indigo racing cars, driving similar machinery, of course, the Hyundai Elantra and TCRs. Coming through the final corner then, onto the start-finish straight. Park, the second park here, Jin Sun Park, was the faster of the 2 at one point, lost the gap a bit, and now he's reeling in back again as they come across the line. Another 10th game there for Jin Sun Park. So we're gonna witness a really close battle for the win in here in South Korea at Inje Podium. If you just joined us, this has been the battle up in front for all of the race. Lap 9 out of 14 right now between Junyu Park and Junsun Park. And the gap is closer than 6 tenths, because when we crossed the line just now, it was 6 tenths. But I think visually, you don't even have to count it anymore. It's less than that. Coming through now, turn 5A and 5B onto turn 6, 7 now, with a little short shoot before we head into the very tricky section that is turn 7, 8, and 9. And then watch for the lockups here at turn 10. This might just be somebody really showing that they're pushing it to the limit. But no, this time around, both parks kept it together. A 20-second lead. They wouldn't want to screw under this now, but they had to race cleanly. Otherwise, it would just throw away what could have potentially been a good result. Through turn 10, at turn 11 and 12. And now into the final sector at 13, 14, and 15. Jerome Camp catches what is now visually closer than just 6 tenths of a second. Very close to the car, in fact. I hope they didn't give Junsun Park a scare there. But no doubt he'll be locked into the back of his teammate coming out to the front. On to the start finish straight now. Lap 10 out of 14. We're in the closing stages here. 5 laps left to go between Junyu Park and Junsun Park. 6 tenths of a second, so not much of a change in terms of the battle for the lead in the gap stakes, but it is much closer compared to at one point where the gap was 1.5 seconds. Meanwhile, the battle for third is still raging on here between Bobby Santoso and Chang Chin Shang, who is driving in the Audi. The one of two cars that is different from the others here this weekend. Most of them already Hyundai Elantras and i30s. He's running the venerable RS3 here, coming up to turn number 1 and 2. Well, very close between the two drivers. We wouldn't want a collision, especially for the battle for third right now. Santoso didn't actually defend that much because he wants to go wide on the exit here just to prevent Chang from overtaking. That's also a good ploy, because driving narrow in front wheel drive cars, it will leave you exposed, especially that if you get the braking wrong. As Santoso then brakes as hard as he could, once again locks up the front tires and the rear wheels go in the air. That's how much he's pushing, taking as much of the curb as possible as he legally dares to prevent Chang from behind to overtake. So then through turn 10, 11, and 12. Not much into the changes right now in position, but our cameras are focused here for both the lead of the race and the drivers in third and fourth. We can't miss any of this. This is really good stuff right now between these two drivers up in the podium positions. But who's it going to be? Is it going to be the Indonesian, or is it going to be the Chinese driver who's going to take it? Or a bit of a lockup again from Santoso, really pushing those tires as hard as he dares, but somehow they still are going at it. You cannot really do that often and say you can get away with the tires not flat spotting. It really is showing the competitiveness between these two guys. They're not giving each other any quarter at this point. Chinese Taipei driver Chen Shin Shang behind the Indonesian Bobby Santoso. Now then, up in front, the gap is still 6 tenths of a second here, but once again, somehow in the midpoint of the section that Junsun Park tried to follow Junyu Park, he just couldn't get by because the Constantine effect happens and he has no way through just yet. But make no mistake, if he were to find an opportunity, he'll probably take it at the first opportunity, because again, 4 laps left to go. Lap 11 out of 14. He's got some time left, but he knows full well that he makes a mistake just like that, a lockup, that will just put pay to his chances of getting closer. But he recovers quite quickly, because up in front, Junyu Park has not really been putting the pace up where he was earlier, and he's being chased after by his teammate without much of a breather to come by. And indeed, a fight between the two parks are still going at it. We're not sure which one is going to be the one finishing on the top step of the rostrum, but what's for sure, they're giving us a very good battle here as we come up now to turn 18 and 19 to take us back to the start-finish straight. Turn 19, 20 to get back us to the front stretch, start finish straight, and across the line. 3 laps to go here. Lap 12 out of 14, and the gap is close to about 4 tenths. We've been seeing that right now. It's yo-yoing between 4 tenths to 6 tenths of a second, but that time around, the second of the two parks made a couple of errors in trying to overtake with the car locking up, but it seems as though it's not affected him that much. He's still right up to the back of him. Our drone cam capturing here up to turn number 3. Turn 3 and 4. So far, still not much of a change in positions, but the driver behind Junsun Park really is getting at him. He's getting a bit antsy right now. He wants to get by, but Junior Park up in front has actually been impervious in his defense, trying to prevent the fellow Park right behind from overtaking. Leaping over turn 7 and 8. Not yet much has changed. For the King of 9 and now 10. It looks as though just about close, but remember, no such thing as DRS here like in Formula 1. The drivers have to do the overtaking the old-fashioned way, trying to slipstream or force the driver into a mistake. But then again, we're also in touring car racing. A little bit of elbows up might do. Door-hander to door-hander action, that's the old-fashioned way to do it. But so far, Junior Park has actually kept it up in front. This is another prime overtaking spot coming up now to this hairpin section at turn 17. But no way through just yet either for Junsun Park, as we are now counting away the laps, coming up to turn 19 and 20. He's dinking left, dinking right, trying to pressure him into a mistake. But Junsun Park still has to contend with looking at the rear bumper of Junior Park as we come up now to the start-finish line. The penultimate lap, 2 laps left to go here in this first race of 2 for the weekend, as we are out of our cameras. Chang has overtaken Santoso. So he did it in the previous lap because you can see the timing screens. 2 seconds separating between Benny Santoso and Chan Shen Chang. But looks as though it doesn't really matter right now. Chang will be on his way to a podium overall, whereas Santoso will still win the cup class anyway, regardless of what happens, as Diego Moran now in 5th place. Not looking second-handed. The car looks still in pristine condition, but wherever he does right now, if he does overtake Bobby Santoso for P4, he will end up being one position away from where he started. A little bit disappointing for the Ecuadorian, but regardless of that, he will be happy. At least it wasn't a complete disaster like the car stalling on the grid and completely just put pay to whatever race that he would have had anyway. Meanwhile, Benny Santoso will be looking a little bit unhappy with the fact that he lost an overall position, but Santoso will be regardless over the moon by the fact that he is a winner in the cup category and how he will love to take that momentum going into the final round of the season. As we now look for the behind, Red Diwa 2nd place in the cup class in front of Liu, Chiren Liu. They had a little battle earlier, but I think Diwa just managed to gain a bit of an advantage to Liu behind, but Liu now is actually closed the gap back up to about 2.9 seconds that time, just a whisker under 3 seconds here. As you can see, that might just be a potential battle. There's Liu in the I-30 against the Elantra N coming up to the final 2 sectors as, oh, look at that! The wheel goes up as we're on to the final lap here for Red Diwa. That was a dramatic moment. Luckily, he managed to gather it back up. As we can see here, Juni Park and Junsun Park battle it out for the overall win and round 7 honors here as we come out to turn number 3. Side by side they go. He goes for the switchback, but he can't get another drive. Junior Park holds on to the lead just for now. Junsun Park in 2nd place as our drone camera captures how close these two are and have been throughout this entire race. Now, let's see it all being settled here on the final lap for round 7. Through the sweeper right-hander. Now onto the short shoot. This might just be a chance for him to take. No, not yet. Turn 7. Cars go almost 2 wheels over the curb there. And this is another prime overtaking spot. Can he try to do it? No. Too tight for him. Juni Park under severe pressure from Junsun Park. Coming up through the second to last sector here. Now then, he has one last opportunity. The hairpin at turn 17. That's his final hope here. Junsun Park now will try to put all the eggs in one basket for that last corner, because otherwise that's his opportunity gone to try to take the lead away from Junyu Park. There's the happen right now, 10-17. Our drone captures it. Around the outside goes Junsun Park. Junyi Park holds it the inside. Now Junsun Park will try to get for the switch back here, but not enough of a drive. I think Junyi Park just hangs on here for the time being, unless there's something dramatic that happens into the final two corners here at 19 and 20. But no, Junyi Park then hangs on to it just about in front of his solid Indigo Racing teammate for a win that is well deserved here. He flashes his lights as well as his teammate. 1-2 for solid Indigo Racing. Junyi Park and Junsun Park come across the line. A formation finish there, and they will no doubt be happy with that result. A ding-dong battle all the way to the end, as we are now await the arrival of the Chinese Taipei driver Chan Chin Shang. As there you can see Benny Santosa actually still being chased by Moran, but I think Chang just about crosses the line there, and he is in third place in the Audi RS3. Then is Benny Santosa, winner of the Cup class, and Moran, who will be slightly relieved that he managed to get it up to the top 5, but no doubt he'll be a bit disappointed at the start. Didn't turn out the way he liked. Meanwhile, battle for the Cup class honors here. Diwa and Liu coming up to the cross to the start finish straight, but Diwa looks as though his tires are a bit short, but he hangs on just enough to take a second place here. A driver full of determination to keep it on the road and on the way to the podium. He does so in second place in the Cup class, 6 overall. And then Qiren Liu finishes in 7th place, 3rd in the Cup class category. Meanwhile, Zhang, who was running up in the podium places earlier, still in pit lane, 5 laps behind. He didn't get to finish the race, so it'll be interesting to see whether or not he did enough of a distance to score some points. But formation lap for the winners of the first race of 2, round 7 of the 2025 TCR Asia Series, was won by Junyi Park of Solid Indigo Racing in the Hyundai Elantra N. Behind him is his teammate in a similar car with the same team, Junsun Park, and then third place is Chan Chin Shang in the RevX Racing Audi RS3 LMS TCR car. So that's your podium finishes, fittingly going in a formation finish all the way to the end. So we're gonna go back to the pits. We'll get the results on screen soon to just double confirm you the provisional results. Of course, we'll await whether or not penalties will come in, but I think none of the drivers will get any penalties because it had been a very clean race from start to finish in the 14 laps that we had here at Inje. As you can see, Jun Sung just flashing his teammate for a bit there. No doubt he will just probably be giving him a bit of a psychological psych up. Probably we're gonna say, I'll have you for race 2, which is gonna be happening tomorrow around the same time to finish off the weekend here of TCR Asia action at the Inje Podium. And then we'll be coming back here in a month's time as part of the TCR World Tour package, which will no doubt be absolutely invigorating for the drivers to get involved with more international drivers and teams at the proceedings there. But for now, is the homeboys from South Korea who will be stepping on top of the rostrum here as the skies are looking quite gloomy. It might rain after this, but who knows? The rain didn't come today. As we look at the provisional results, Solid Indigo Racing's Junyi Park by about 0.3 of a second in front of Junsun Park, with Chan Chin Shang in third place for RevX Racing, about 70 seconds behind. Benny Santoso, your winner in the Cup class, in front of Diego Moran, who finishes 4th in his class. And then after that is Red Diwa in 6th place, 2nd in the Cup category. Then Qiren Liu, 3rd in the Cup category. And last but not least, car number 18, Zhendong Zhang for the Z Speed N car, who did not finish the race after problems, potentially either a puncture or mechanical failure in his car that sent him to the pits, 5 laps short at the end. We're about to see some celebrations erupting here in pit lane. Number 1 in on his fingers. Then he will no doubt be saying Hansa Hamida to his teammate for not really pushing him too much there. As you can see, Junyu and Junsung share an embrace. Coming up to the pit lane here. Rest of the team also congratulate them on a job well done. And yet, more of the formalities to get out of the way. And we're gonna get an interview with Junyi Park, who's the winner for round 7 of the 2025 TCR Asia Series.
틀린 것 같아서 좀 다운을 많이 시켰고 팀 모두도 다운을 하나 해서 준성 형이랑 좀 저희가 랩 타임이 좀 많이 빨랐기 때문에 좀 많은 네, 페이스 조절했습니다. 처음으로 인제에서 TCR 아시아가 열렸던 걸로 알고 있는데 거기서 폴드 피니시를 할 수 있게 되게 기쁘고요. 여기까지 올라올 수 있게 만들어주신 솔라이트 인도레이션 그리고 피치스 그리고 현대성우 캐스팅 그리고 이번에 많이 도와준 준성이 형과 팀워크에 대한 감사하다 말씀드리고 싶고 부모님한테 감사하다 말씀드리고 싶습니다. 확실히 인제 같은 서킷이 해외 유럽에 많이 없어서 저희가 좀 유리했던 건 사실이고요. 근데 빅길 같은 경우에는 확실히 선수들이 TCR에 빅길이 경우 많다 보니까 저희랑 갭 차이가 별로 안 났습니다. 내일은 레이스 2 때 6등 스타트인데 이번에 스타트 해보니까 너무 잘 돼서 탑 2등을 목표로 하고 있습니다. 한 3렙에서 4렙까지 그냥 달렸고요. 그 다음부터 팀 오더가 내려와서 다 같이 페이스 다운을 하고 이제 제 앞타이어가 조금 이상한 느낌 들어서 같이 더 페이스 다운을 해도 3등이랑 거리가 많이 안 좁혀져서 같이 지금 페이스 다운을 했습니다. 네, 감사합니다.
So then that's Junie Park, driver who had the interview right there to close off the proceedings for race number 1, aka round 7. As we can see the highlights of the race that just preceded it. Moran got off to a poor start that allowed Zhang to come by up to P3. That's the Z Speed N car with the Hello Kitty and Snoopy colors right behind. He was the earlier challenger, but then faded afterwards. That allowed these two to come by up to P3. Benny Santoso and Chang to come up through. They had a very good battle. As you can see, Chang at one point was up in front here, Zhang at one point, but then afterwards, when he faded off, that's when Benny came through, and then Chang came through as well to actually give us a real ding-dong battle all the way to the end of this race. That was the overtake for P3. And then further behind, this is how Santoso lost the third place to the number 83 of Shang. And after that, it was just Moran reeling him in, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to overtake. Meanwhile, up in front, the two Parks were just streaking away to each other. This was one of the closest moments of the entire race when Junsun Park nearly rammed to the back of Junie Park. And on the last lap, he tried a move around the outside for the switchback, but it wasn't to be. Junie Park hung on for it up to the line, and Junsun Park in second place to make it a 1-2 for the Koreans in in the Solid Inje racing team, and a 1-2 for their mark Hyundai. Now then, we proceed on to the podium. That's our Chinese Taipei driver who finished in third place, Chan Chen Xiang. And then Junsun Park, a former Hyundai N Festival driver who finished overall in P2 at one point, has taken part in also TCR Italy alongside Junie Park, who also has taken part in the Hyundai N Festival and an N Cup champion all the way back in 2022. Representative for the Solid Inje Racing team is up there. So Chen Shang, who incidentally was also our championship leader coming into this round, will extend his lead after taking a well-deserved podium for RevX Racing. Junsun Park and Junie Park, newcomers for this particular round, but They have shown their class here up in front, and local knowledge of the circuit really came into play as they stand on top of the podium 1-2 for their team. That's our podium. Junyu Park, Junsun Park, and Chan Chen Shang on our podium. Hana Dole 1-2 for Solid Indigo Racing up in front. And no doubt they'll be trying to achieve the same thing tomorrow for round 8, aka race number 2 at Inje Podium. As the cars will be wheeled away for post-race scrutineering, the podium finishers take the photos to be shared across all our TCR media. And, of course, the champagne sprays right at the end. As you can see, that's Jun Sung's first win of the day. He managed to get one over Junie, who couldn't get the champagne bottle open. And a bit of an act of revenge, I would say. Friendly banter, sprays his teammate, runs off the podium. And Chang also gets a fair bit of champagne himself, but he'll be smiling ear to ear knowing the fact that in terms of the overall stakes in the championship, he is now well and truly streaking ahead of the rest of the pack in the TCR standings. Earning himself a good haul of points as well for potentially a berth to the Macau Grand Prix next month. In a few months' time, sorry. Now then, that's the overall podium done. We are going to get up to the Cup Class podium now. In fact, we're going to finish our broadcast here today, but we will be coming back tomorrow for more action in the TCR Asia Series. But for now, from Mame Hazik, we're off here from Inje. We'll see you tomorrow for round 8.